Oh, yeah. Especially when you've built it up as much as he had.
Yeah. But you know what's always satisfying?
What's that?
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to PixelLit. That's right. We're always satisfying.
We're always.
We're nougaty smooth. We're like a Snickers bar.
Exactly. Hungry? Have a PixelLit.
Have a PixelLit. You know, that's one way. Is if you get some ramen noodles, and you put on PixelLit, and we are the chopped green onions and hard-boiled egg that dresses up your ordinary, everyday 50-cent ramen. Yep. I'm the chopped green onions.
I'm the onions.
Oh,
Kevin's the hard-boiled egg.
I thought I was the onions.
No.
Oh,
wait. Am I? Oh, God damn it! I am the hard-boiled egg.
Yeah. Anyway,
fuck.
We're finishing off Diablo, the Legacy of Blood.
Legacy of Blood.
Which, spoiler warning. I've been looking at this super cool dude on the cover this entire time. Nobody who looks like this ever makes an appearance in the book.
No. This is merely the cover of one of the expansions to Diablo 2.
Yeah.
That is all it is.
That's it. They just threw like that. That looks cool, painted on the side of a van. That is
right.
That's to borrow an Oops All Monsters segment. It is bitch and van art.
This is indeed bitch and van art. That is absolutely what it is. So we got one winner here.
We got one winner here. So yeah, we're back, and we're starting with chapter 16, and Kara finds herself underneath Loot Golain.
Yes, she's in some sort of a labyrinth, wandering around with this terrifying old man. Who's
he is
just very like unsettling.
Who's just like do evil. Yeah.
There's evil? Yeah, we heard you. I don't think there's evil. But there might be evil. I don't think that's but evil happened.
So all right. It's like you get the feeling, Kara gets the feeling that things are like shifting and changing as she wanders around. And,
big time.
And you know, that's impossible. That can't happen. Corridors can't change like that, can they?
No. It's a very Tool music video kind of moment. And she's just like making herself through all of these weird shifting corridors. I love the moment too, because she's like trying to use her magic to figure out how to get through there. There's this door, and she's like, well, that can't be it,
right.
You know, and she's trying to use it. And then finally she just like, oh, fuck it, and just turns the knob on the door and it opens.
Right.
It made me think of the episode. I was just
thinking about, now that you say it, I was like, I remember laughing when I was listening to that moment. Right, she's just like, I'm just gonna try it, and it's just like it's a regular ass door. It's not a magic door.
It's just a door. Why are you so paranoid? It made me think of that episode of Rick and Morty, where Chris Parnell's character gets dropped off in like this alternate reality nursing home for guys. The daycare, exactly.
He goes, I am leaving, and the nurse goes, that was always allowed.
Right, exactly. That was always allowed. That's what the old man should have said to her. Like, the door was always allowed. It's just, it is good. It is good. It's a good moment. It's a nice moment. She does finally come, she opens that door, ends up at a blank wall. She's opening one door after the other, and she's just being taken in these impossible circles. Like she's keeping track of the angles, and it doesn't make sense. Like it's impossible that she would be turning where she is.
And this guy, who they're identifying as Horizon, because why not? It's why not? Horizon is still alive somehow. We've accepted that, right? At this point, Kara has accepted that this is Horizon.
This is Horizon. I'm in an impossible maze. Sure.
It's like she's in an impossible maze, and Horizon is at this point written with the characterization of like the Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. Like, you do really expect him to start doing the weird wordplay. It's like, if I'm upside down, why aren't you upside down too? Then that must make you right side up, or I'm right side up and you're up. It's just like, oh God, I've gone cross-eyed.
Shut up.
Jesus. Yeah, exactly. Just shut up.
I just like, Santa, you know what? Lewis Carroll, I guess you did some stuff, but like, I just want to reach through the pages sometimes in Alice in Wonderland and just slap the shit out of you, because I'm talking a full-fledged Will Smith, like, like keep these words out of my goddamn book.
This will be our only reference to that.
This will be our only reference. We are no longer making references to that. By the time
as far as PixelLit is concerned, it never happened.
By the time this episode comes out, 90% of you will have forgotten that it happened.
By the time this episode comes out, Will Smith will have attempted to murder the president or something like that.
Either one of two things will happen. That, or he and Chris Rock will star in a commercial together, where they make fun of it. Right.
They make the reference like Mazda just offers them too much money. I don't know, man. It wasn't going to be Ford. Let's face facts.
It's Mazda, or it's like an insurance company, or
somebody,
or Snickers. It's like you know, like when you're not yourself. You're not yourself. Yeah,
someone is going to drive a literal dump truck of money to their house and say, please, oh please do this. And yeah, that's going to work out real well for everybody involved. Chris Rock's great grandkids are going to go to Ivy League college just because of that commercial.
Yeah. And meanwhile,
what's that?
Oh yeah, no, you're continuing on with the Kara and Horizon stuff. Yes.
Yeah. She finds. Speaking of Mad Hatter bullshit, she does indeed find Horizon eating at this this beautiful spread on a table. It looks wonderful, except the whole thing is completely upside down. She's the only part of the room that isn't upside down.
Staircases are upside down, doors are upside down. Just like
the Snickers bars are upside down.
The Snickers bars are glued to the ceiling. They're not actually Snickers, upside down. They're glued to the ceiling. And
you're right. That's the only part that he couldn't quite get right.
He couldn't quite get right.
That actually is super glue.
That's super glue. Everything else is magic.
Everything else is totally magic. I don't know why Snickers is immune to my particular form of chicanery. But there it is.
So Horizon orders the girl to sit and eat.
Right.
Okay.
Meanwhile,
Horizon is an Italian mother-in-law.
He so is.
Who's like, you're not eating enough.
You're not eating enough. You're so thin. You're so skinny.
Meanwhile, out in the desert, Malevolent and Zazax are up to no good. They're outside of Luca Lane, and they just want to fuck some shit up.
They are ready. Yeah, they're hanging out at Luca Lane with an army of demons. Zazax is like kind of cagey and nervous. It's not really clear why. And they're just sitting around, and a patrol starts heading towards them, and they just fucking massacre them with these magic flaming arrows. And then, in true bad guy fashion, allow one of them to escape so he can tell the others.
Tell the others of what has happened.
Tell the others
here.
That Wu-Tang ain't nothing to fuck with. And that's what they're there for. But then they just charge. They just start attacking the city. They've got one order. The demons have one order: bring Malevolent, the man in the armor, and everybody else is disposable. And it's looking pretty good for Luke Ghislaine at first, because the archers are shooting down, they're knocking them all down. Yep. They're this city has stood for generations for a reason. The demons are going down, and then all of these They get cocky, they throw down the drawbridge, they charge out on their horses, and that's when all the demons pop back up and just slaughter all of the guys. It's kind of embarrassing.
It is an embarrassing battle for the Golanians.
For the Golanians.
For the Lutanians of Gol. For the LGs. For the LGs.
The LGs.
For the LGs who keep it real. So we're off to the next chapter, and Norik and we're in chapter 17. Norik and Galliona are just chilling. They're chilling, and what?
And they do hear the violence.
They're hearing the bloodshed.
Close enough.
They're hearing the violence and the bloodshed. And they are also looking for the tomb of it's the tomb of Horizon, or it's the ancient what is the other name for it?
The
sanctum, the arcane sanctum, or something like that.
The arcane sanctum,
which is referred to as the tomb of Horizon. It's like back and forth, but
it's kind of interchangeable.
It's kind of interchangeable at this point.
Yeah. This is a great moment too, because this is where they really just, you've probably suspected at this point that Galliona is not really all that capable. She is probably the least successful of all the people we followed so far. But this is where, like, she really should. Honey, please, we need you to stop.
Yeah, she's like, I'm totally in control of this situation, and she has not exhibited a single ounce of being in control of the situation since page 1.
None whatsoever. Like, she's trying to use she's using the feminine charms thing, and it's like they teleport into a room that's full of statues that are just like in the dream that he had earlier.
Right.
And she lays it on really thick, like she kisses him, and immediately Norik starts thinking, I'm gonna get rid of her pretty fucking fast. This ain't good.
She's a little clingy. Little cling wrap.
She's a little, don't stick your dick in crazy. That's the feeling he's getting right now.
They find a coffin, and there's nothing actually in it.
No.
They think the Horizon's body should be in there. Whoops. No, it's not.
Nope.
Not there.
Nope.
So what would you say happens next? Would you say the building attacks them, or
it's weird? This is actually the point in the book where we start to get a lot of magic from here on out, and it can be very wishy-washy. And I don't know about you, but I had to reread several sections from here on out that weren't always clear. So he has this dagger that he's been using, and he is convinced. He says, the wrong markings are on this coffin. None of this is real. He thinks the statue faces are what the Bartuk inside of him kind of remembers, but they don't at the same time. And so basically he starts like trying to cut through the illusion.
Yeah.
And by the way, Galliona is getting a little snappy.
Yeah.
Here.
She is snipping and snapping at his heels.
Yeah. She's really playing backseat driver a little too hard for my tastes.
Yeah. And so this dagger basically cuts through the coffin as if the coffin is not the reality. There. So basically it'd be like, oh, none of this is actually here. What we're thinking is here isn't here. It's a projection of what I guess Bartuk would have imagined his brother's tomb to look like. That's not explicitly said anywhere. That's not but I think that's kind of what it was hinting, was that it's basically just showing me like, oh yeah, it's totally the tomb of Horizon. This is what it would look like, and it'd be like, no, it's not even. That's not the room they're in is barren. There's nothing there.
Right. That's essentially how I took it too.
Yeah.
And when this happens, when it becomes clear that he's not buying it, everything starts to go to hell. Like the room starts to shift and shape and transform.
There's hallways, and there's not a hallway, and then it's
who's the it's like an Ansel Adams drawing.
MC Escher.
MC Escher. Oh, what am I thinking of? MC Escher. Yeah. It's an Escher drawing. And the stairs are up on the ceiling and then they're down here and everything's shifting around. He gets knocked over and he's trying to get back up again. The armor's fucking.
He's
with
like
him.
falling off of a cliff or something.
Right. Yeah, he's falling a lot for some reason. And Galeone, of course, just like took all of 10 minutes.
She's like, you know what? I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah.
I am actually finally making the right decision here, and I'm leaving.
Right.
And like she gets summarily so she gets rewarded with her only smart decision for the entire book.
Yeah.
By getting roasted from the inside out.
Yeah. She just like she just says fuck off and leaves him, and the armor is just desperate for revenge and
blows her up.
Like just like you said, from the inside out. She basically disintegrates.
Yeah.
And it's very unceremonious. She's just gone.
Yeah, it for a main character, for a point of view character, it was actually a little jarring for her to just be like, it was literally 2 sentences. It was like, and then she was gone. And it was like,
then she's dead.
That's a picture wrap on Galeona.
Right, just like that. Just like that. It's pretty abrupt.
And it's like, and this is one of my criticisms is like, if you're going to have her as a point of view character, then I believe point of view characters should have some sort of an arc.
Right.
She doesn't have an arc. She just has I want the armor. All she does is change who she's affiliated with over the course of the book.
Right.
And
we don't really do we ever even find out why she wants it?
No. She just wants it to be in control of it and rule the world, maybe? So which to be fair is everybody.
Which is everybody
in this book wants that.
Yeah.
But Galeona is somewhat and this is probably going to be some of my harshest criticism for the book. Galeona is a 2D character who is written with that. Basically all she is like a sex pot sorcerer who uses her feminine wiles to control men, has zero change from what she believes from her first page to she wants the armor. It's only a superficial change in like she wants to do it. It's not like she changes her mind. She like sees the horrors that the armor could rot and like changes her mind. And like she basically just tries to leave out of self-preservation because it's gotten to be it's like, this is too much effort. It's
too hairy. Yeah.
And then she gets evaporated for it. So it's kind of like a bummer for her to have like, and that's why it was jarring when she died. Be like, oh, okay, so we're just killing a character a primary character whose arc is not even developed.
Right.
That was kind of my takeaway from that.
And it is, I don't disagree. And it isn't like a end of season 1 of Game of Thrones kind of jarring. She just wasn't given much more than a trope. She's just a trope. Yeah. For all intents and purposes. She's the seductress witch. Yep. And that's really all she exists to do. So as we've spoken of before, as we've gone with this book, there's a lot of setup here. And so
there's a lot of setup.
Lot of setup. And this is our first moment where something concludes very definitely. And it just didn't quite hit the mark on this one.
There's no payoff to any of the setup with Galeona.
No, I agree.
Other than she becomes another piece of cannon fodder for the armor to kill.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
The only difference the only difference between her
first main character who dies.
First main character to die. That happens. So basically the scene ends and we get a playback of that scene from a different point of view now, we start.
I liked this.
We start seeing a version of this scene from the point of view of Kara and the man we are calling Horizon.
Right.
They're basically looking at it through a portal or something, and they witness the same beats up to Galliona getting killed.
Right, and it's interesting. Kara starts to realize that this sanctum, this arcane sanctum that they're in, is like this impossible pocket universe.
Yeah.
That he's created here. Everything is self-contained. She's begging Horizon to stop the armor. And Horizon doesn't seem to care, but the sanctum itself does respond and gives her this vision of what we see in the previous section.
Right.
She starts to see all of this, and everything goes down. So chaos goes down. She sees it all happen, and then she sees Norik battling for control with the armor, which tells her she tries to plead with Horizon, saying the evil's in the armor, not in this man. Let's try to spare the man and end the curse. And then kind of asks this pointed question, because Horizon doesn't seem terribly interested, and asks this pointed question of like, is Horizon just as bad as his brother? Because he's about ready to just blow them all up. And again, the sanctum hears her and basically allows her to reach out, and she gets to enter the domain to hopefully help Norik in this moment.
Yeah. So basically, we pick up in the next chapter, in chapter 18, and
Norik's still falling. Norik's still falling. It kind of feels like it's like I remember when I lived up north. I lived in Pennsylvania, and the snow in Western PA up in the mountains can get pretty bad.
Yeah.
And my ex, we were walking from the dorms, and we hit this patch of ice, and I caught myself pretty quick, and she began to slide one way and then readjusted and started sliding the other way, and then and she basically fell for what felt like 4 minutes. She fell forever, because every time she readjusted, she started falling in that direction. And she hated me for a very long time. I'm convinced we broke up because of deep down
because of that.
I couldn't stop laughing. I earned it. I admit it, but I think of that when I think of this. He is just kind of perpetually falling. And then finally Kara reaches out and boom,
catches him and pulls him up.
Yeah.
Pulls him up and is like, all right, well, let's figure this out. Let's work together. Right. And he's like, well, who are you? And she goes, I'm a follower of Rathma. And he's like, there's like a moment where he's taken aback by the fact that she's a necromancer, and then immediately moves on because he's like, oh no, I probably shouldn't get too pissy about like her being a necromancer given all the other bullshit.
He's like, I don't know if I have much of a leg to stand on here. But they basically take a minute to get each other up to speed with everything that's happened on their side of things. Like, he's sharing memories with Bartu. She's been seeing him in visions. And they need Horizon to remove the armor, essentially.
Right.
And so they're having a nice big conversation. And while they're talking, who appears? Zazax. Your and my favorite praying mantis from hell.
Yeah, our favorite praying mantis. Basically, he tries to kill Norik. Kara pushes Norik out of the way because she's the only hero in this book.
She's the only good person here.
And she gets stabbed to death by
Classic.
And I was like, at this point, I was like, given how quickly Galeona was killed, I was like, did we just kill both female characters in back-to-back chapters?
I felt the same way. I was like, no. Here's the thing. I was just like, no. That's not what went down. We both know it. And I was just like, no, that's not what happened. I refused to believe. Because, they basically go, all right, she's dead now. And Zazek finds out about Galeona's fate and has a nice, good, long laugh over that. Which is, I really did expect some sort of showdown between the two of them.
Between Zazax and Galeona.
Right. Yeah. Right. Because they built up so much about the two of them being
bound connected to each other or whatever. And it was like, so Galeona got killed and Zazax realizing that Galeona is dead and nothing happened to him. He's like, oh, I could have killed her all this time. Like,
right. Yeah.
He's like, we weren't actually bound the way that I thought we were.
Right. Oh, yeah. That's hilarious, by the way. He's like, oh, so because he had no idea. No
clue.
He's like, oh, that's stupid. I wasted a lot of time.
Yeah.
Okay. So he finds the humor in the situation. So that's nice.
That's nice. Good for him. Good for Zazax, you know?
Exactly.
And Zazax and Yap sitting having a picnic together.
Two of the greatest. The palindrome twins.
Yeah, the palindrome twins.
Well, they're not. Yap isn't quite one, but still. Yeah. Back off.
He's an honorary one. So
he's an honorary one.
You know.
So we get this really interesting moment where Zazax starts basically talking to the armor. And the armor gestures and basically is acknowledging the demon's presence, much to Norik's horror.
Yeah.
And Zazax says, hey, I know where the helmet is. Do you want to be whole? Do you want to be a full set and get all of your synergistic abilities?
Right.
And the armor goes, you bet. And Zazax goes, right this way, friend. And the armor literally just follows him out.
The armor makes a Scooby-Doo sound when...
Yeah. Just
Norik's like, I like Zoe's armor.
That's for Scott.
That one was for Scott. That's for you, Scott.
That one's for Scott, buddy. And it's kind of hilarious because obviously we've had lots of moments where Norik hasn't been able to control the armor. That's kind of the whole point. But I think this is the most insulting because it's the first time that the armor is being addressed like he's not in the room.
Right.
Like he's just secondary.
Yeah.
So this section ends with the armor basically following Zazax. Leaving the necromancer behind.
Lobby. It's right. Doing the let's all go to the lobby dance out of the room.
Yeah. He pulls out a little top hat.
And they just leave Kara's body there.
She ain't getting any livinger.
But she is not dead yet.
No.
And to quote Monty Python, she got better.
Yeah, exactly.
I got better.
I feel happy. Which is the main phrase of the Rathma cultists.
Yes,
of course.
So basically, who should return but the two ghouls that she is bound to? Saden Trist and what's his name? The Vigerite Faustian. They come back and they're like, oh shit. She's dying.
Oh, this is not good. And this is the first, because we're gonna get all the closure.
This book does. I'll give it this. This book does wrap up into a nice little package of closure.
Yes.
It's a nice little closure package.
Right. It's really nice. And I will say this is the first bit of closure on one detail in the book that I was like, that's good. That was a nice little twist, because she's dying. She's on her way out. And Faustian and Seydu basically, you remember they made a pact with her, a life pact, that anything that happens to her happens to, anything that happens to them happens to her. I don't know if it works both ways. Clearly it doesn't, because they're fine.
Right.
But part of the life pact was them taking some of her life force, which they release the pact, and basically they took like half of her HP away from her. Right.
So she's sitting at 0 HP, and she has just failed 2 death saving throws.
Right.
She's gonna fail a third when they zip like 1 HP back into her.
Exactly.
And she doesn't have to make any more throws.
She stabilizes.
She stabilizes. Her wound heals. But except her clothes are covered in the blood that was hers at that point. But she's otherwise she's happy and living.
She seems to be doing okay.
She's living. She's not necessarily happy.
Ish, yeah. I don't know if anyone in this world is happy per se.
I imagine it's like at this point it's like pitch black in there. For some reason, like there's just no light.
I don't think you're wrong. It doesn't look good in there. It's time has passed, but yeah. So we get another moment of getting people up to speed.
Yeah.
She starts trying to pitch to the Revenants the idea of like, I know you want to kill Norik, but you shouldn't kill Norik because it's not his fault. He didn't mean to kill you guys. The armor's in charge, and they both go, yeah, we know. We weren't trying to kill him.
We were never trying to kill him.
No, it had nothing to do with it. No, we just wanted to get rid of this armor. Like that was what it was.
That was the only goal. And she's like, "Oh, I'm a dummy."
Yeah, I feel like questions could have been asked.
Yeah.
But I guess we're all friends now. She calls out to Horizon, hoping that he's going to help her. Here's nothing. And so the three of them. Oh yeah, and they give her sacred knife.
They break the bond, and they're like, you know what? You probably need this more than we do.
Yeah, this is going to be important, and they let her know this is going to be important against that demon thing. And the one that stabbed you.
Yeah, the stabby demon that stabbed you is you're probably going to need this bad boy. And basically, because then the knife is like the thing where it's the thing that she uses to do most of her magic, I think.
Right.
So she has like one hand tied behind her back this entire time because she doesn't have her super Rathma necromancer knife.
Right. And now she's back to full power.
She's leveled up.
So the chapter ends with all three of them heading to Lugo Lane, where they're planning on dealing finally with Bartuk's armor and with Norik himself.
Yep. In chapter 19, where we zip back outside of Lugo Lane, to General Malevolent, and his soldiers are still on the attack. But
now they kind of made a deal with the generals over there. They're like, look, we're going to keep attacking you. We're going to fuck you up. But we will hold back, and we will not fully decimate your city if you guys search for this man in the armor.
Yeah. And
they ain't found
they
them
have
yet.
not found them yet.
No.
And so that basically the armor is gonna just like walk right up to him.
Right. It's hilarious. It's another really unintentionally hilarious moment. Because he's just standing there. He's just watching his demons like just chucking arrows and fire and shit at the walls. And Zazax walks up. They make a point of saying it's broad daylight.
Yeah.
This giant praying mantis
and a dude in bloody red armor.
Right. And here he is.
Zazax like, this one found it.
Yeah. There you go.
There you go. Oh.
And Malevolent is just drooling right now.
Yeah, Malevolent is full bad guy. Like,
yeah,
he's a bad guy and he's this close to his goal. You know, he's just about to cross the finish line. And they're basically, and he does he monologues. He reveals.
Oh God, yes.
What is going on here? Like, why after all this time was it Norik that the armor went on, and why is it Malevolent who has the helmet? Why did all this work? And Malevolent breaks it all down. Basically, Norik and Malevolent are relatives, and they are ancestors of Bartuk. So they're both long ancestors, several things removed from Bartuk, but their blood, they're his blood nonetheless. So that's why he explains why, oh, well, you know, there's all these dead bodies down there. Don't you think it's weird that you're like the first one like that the armor jumped onto? And
which I have to admit I hadn't thought about.
Yeah, it was like
that's a really good point.
That is a good point, that like you have to imagine that somebody in the previous dead body groupings had at least like maybe put their hand on it or something and nothing happened.
Right.
Like tried to grab it and that got pulled away by some other ghouls or whatever. And when Norik touched it, it magically appeared on him.
Right.
So I think that's a good point that ties up that little loose end of not that it was like a loose end that I was actually thinking about actively.
Yeah. It was one that I'd completely forgotten about by this time. But when they brought it up, I was like, oh wow, that's actually a really good point.
That.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, and by the way, on a side note here, this is the first moment in the book so far that I feel like I fully interpret how much of a dandy Malevolent is. He comes off as very poncy, a very rich man kind of general, which I wasn't picking up on before.
Very foppish.
But this is the first. Yeah. And I think it's because he monologues like an old James Bond villain here.
Do you expect me to talk?
Oh, I expect you to give me the armor. Like it's that kind of, it's that level of like, here are my evil plans monologuing.
Yes.
And so yeah, we finally, so Malevolent's like, well, time to get the armor off of you. So he tries to cast one of the spells that he's been using before that like just drains you of your life force.
Like, let's just get it over with. Doesn't work.
Right.
Doesn't work at all. Nothing happens.
Nothing.
And Zazax is like, well, maybe the armor thinks that you're attacking it. Maybe you need to just like, hey, you just need to kill Norik and just we'll deal with getting the armor off.
Right.
And guess what? It's the armor is not necessarily a fan of Malevolent's ideas.
No, the armor, he goes to cut his head off and the armor defends itself. Like he brings out his, shadow blade and the armor brings out his shadow blade and cling clang.
We got a lightsaber fight.
Exactly. We get our good old fashioned 17th century lightsaber fighting. It's really weird because I don't fully grasp why the armor's fighting amongst itself. My guess, and they may have even mentioned this, but my guess is they want to see who's the most worthy, who comes out on top.
Yeah, I think it has something to do with like the will of like if Malevolent had the armor, it's less likely to be Bartuk like in control.
Right.
So Bartuk likes being in control and it knows it can do that with Norik.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I think that's kind of the vibe there. So it's like, no, you're gonna give me the helmet. We're not giving you the armor.
It's just easier, really. So Zazax is watching this fight go down, and he's once again. Did you ever hear of Zazax being nervous?
Oh, he is.
It happened again.
It happened again. He's a nervy little demon boy.
He is a very insecure demon.
Very insecure demon. For being a
he
massive...
might as well be a Disney villain. Yeah. He's just... or not even the full villain. He's like Iago.
I was about to say, he's more like Iago.
Right. He puts on a big show. He makes
and now I'm reimagining Zazax as being voiced by Gilbert Gottfried.
Love it.
And who would play Malevolent in this?
Well, at this rate, I want Jeremy Irons.
Jeremy Irons.
Yeah. I want Jeremy Irons. I want another Disney villain veteran who is not at all afraid of hamming it up for a bad fantasy movie.
I'm imagining him in Die Hard with a Vengeance. Like Luke Ghislaine is being burned to the ground, and he's standing there like, "Holy Toledo!
Yeah,
looks like somebody had fun."
God, that was just the extra hammy Jeremy Irons in that one. It was so good. We will also take Malcolm McDowell in a pinch.
Yes, we will take Malcolm McDowell, or Terrence Stamp.
Yeah.
Terrence Stamp's still alive, right?
Oh no! Now I have to find out.
No, we got it.
He is alive.
He's alive. All right.
He's alive. Oh God, he'd be so good.
When you can't get Malcolm McDowell, you go Terrence Stamp.
Right. They all come from the same school of creepy, weirdly aging guys.
Yeah.
That works out.
Yeah.
So
it works.
So while Iago is sitting there getting all nervous,
biting his nails,
he's thinking to himself, basically, Belial is going to see him as a total fool if he's backed the wrong person. He's starting to get nervous because he thought Norik was just going to be a pushover.
Right.
And if he looks stupid, it might be the end of him. And he thinks to himself that he needs to even the odds.
Right.
Which probably means fighting dirty.
He's fighting dirty. He's going to fight dirty. Yeah. And one of the other things that we see with Norik's like Norik is like watching the fight happen. He's kind of backseat on this one. And he's just like, oh damn, the armor's kind of shitty. It doesn't actually know how to fight.
This is hilarious
it's
too.
Like,
yeah, this is great.
Like, it's missing openings. It's like and he's basically saying to the armor, he's like, sword fighting has evolved a lot over the last 1,000 years. I don't think you know as much as you think you know.
Right. Even if you are fighting against yourself. Yeah, and it's actually very clever because while Bartuk might be a super powerful sorcerer, he isn't necessarily like the greatest.
He's not
swordsman
a great
in the
sword
world.
Fighter.
No, and he starts noticing actual moves that Malevolent is using, and he, as a veteran of several wars and different campaigns, recognizes what the what do you call them? Retaliatory moves would be against them. And he starts kind of shouting at the armor, "Let me fight, like, let me do something here." And he's working against it and fighting against it until eventually he does gain control.
Right. The armor's like, all right, see if you can do better,
Right. But if you die, it's on you.
If you die, it's on you. I mean, the armor is just moderately invested in winning this fight. Yeah. At any time, you could be like, whatever, man.
It is funny, isn't it? Every other time that the armor takes control, the armor's this unstoppable killing machine. And for this one, it does feel like the armor's kind of phoning it in.
Yeah.
It's just like, I guess, man, I win no matter what, so fuck it, whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, that is probably one of my my favorite moments in the book. And then
it's hilarious.
And then the chapter ends with Zazax being like, "Now."
Right. Yeah.
Because
Zazax
it looks like
reeling up.
It looks like Norik is about to win. And then we kind of we leave on a cliffhanger, and basically we cut over to Kara, just like she is now outside on the dune, and she's like, ooh. This is a lot of bad shit happening out here.
A lot is going on.
There's a lot of things happening here.
Yeah, this is but first things first. So she basically runs up just as Zazax is about to bring his horrible claws down on Norik. She runs up and stabs
the shit out of him. And
stabs the shit out of him.
She buries the dagger in him, and now that the dagger is in him, she can like cast all sorts of hurty spells at him, and he is not loving it.
No, he is not doing great. They just start having a fight back and forth, and then she essentially casts what turns out to be a fear spell on him.
And he starts seeing angels everywhere.
Exactly, because if there's one thing that we are absolutely certain that Zazx hates, it's angels, and he just fucking beats feet and gets out of there. And Kara kind of reads all of our minds at this moment, where she's like, well, that's not exactly a satisfying end to him.
No,
I'd much rather it be a little more permanent, but we'll take what we can get.
But Zazx basically Hunter S. Thompsons and says, we were just out of Barstow.
Right. He's gone.
When the drugs began to take hold and he starts seeing...
Right. He's
seeing angels everywhere.
Flying creatures everywhere.
Yeah, and he just runs.
Jesus, what are these goddamn animals? And he's gone. He's gone. Because who hasn't imagined the Dr. Hunter S. Thompson as a giant praying mantis? Who among us, I ask you?
Who amongst us? And that person may cast the first stone or something.
Cast the first fear spell.
Cast the first fear spell.
So Kara has this moment, though, where she realizes, she starts watching Norik and Malevolent fighting, and she realizes that whoever wins, she's probably gonna.
Yeah,
I'm gonna probably have to kill somebody. She's not thrilled.
She's like, she has to hype herself up.
Right? She's like, okay, murder.
Gotta murder somebody.
Gotta murder someone. So Malevolent is spouting more of his magic eugenics. It's essentially what it is. Like, he's like, we're part of the same bloodline, but my blood is thicker than your blood.
I have the better blood, clearly.
Right. You know, he's part of the one drop theory there, and he's spouting off like that, and he starts to try to tear off Norik's face.
Yeah.
Because he's losing and you know how it is. The moment someone starts to lose a fight, they immediately try to tear off somebody's face. Yeah. It's that old chestnut.
That old chestnut.
That old chestnut.
So at one point, Malevolent tries to just like, I'm gonna just go for it, and he takes a big old swing, and Norik is disarmed until he remembers that the sword is magic, and he warlocks the sword out of thin air just as Malevolent is charging, and whoopsie daisy. He has successfully stabbed a killing blow, Malevolent right in the chest with this big old magic sword. It
is kind of hilarious.
He's like, oh shit!
It's not kind of. It's really hilarious because it's like all he's been fighting with are these magical swords that are appearing out of thin air. And I guess
for a while he thought
he's
he was
in charge now.
Yeah. For a while he's like, I'm disarmed, and I'd be like, no, you can pull. You can pull a sword out of thin air, man.
It's your ult. Just fucking do it.
Just do it. Just fire your ult.
And he does, and he wins, and he takes the helmet and
puts it on.
We get a lot of Bartuk in his head.
Yeah, we get a lot of Bartuk and blood, and
he cuts off General Malevolent's head. Like you oughta.
Just to clear. Just to tie up that loose end, because the stabbing of the heart wasn't enough. You gotta
no.
Yeah, so we got a lot of Vigo the Carpathian bullshit for the next couple of pages.
Super Vigo, absolutely. I mean, we've been getting that from Bartuk since the beginning.
But
very
on a mountain of bones, on a throne of blood.
Right. and he takes it that extra Vigo step forward when Kara approaches, and now it's Bartuk's turn to check out Kara.
Yeah, she's like,
everyone needs to check her out.
She's hot.
She's hot, and she's hot. It starts out okay.
She's hot, but doesn't know it.
Right. And she clearly doesn't.
Clearly.
It starts out okay because he's like, okay, how can I use her? What can I, what is this girl could be a wonderful pawn. How do I use it? And you're like, okay, that is probably how that guy would think.
Yeah.
Everyone he met. And then he starts going, she isn't unattractive, however. Maybe she could be one of my whores.
Yeah. She could be my consort, if you know what I mean.
And it's just like this poor fucking woman.
Like, can she go one interaction without somebody saying, "Hey, you're hot.
Pretty hot."
But you don't know it. I'm telling you this for the first time, and
you've never heard this before,
have you?
Well, she's like the other side of the coin from Galeona, where Galeona wants to seduce people but isn't very good at it, and then Kara, who seduces people constantly but doesn't want to. It's just she doesn't. It's a mess.
Yes, she doesn't want to deal with it.
She doesn't.
Yeah. So she's trying to put the helmet. She's like trying to, and she's also trying to talk, like trying to one last ditch effort of like, hey, like fight it, let's. You're Norik. You don't have to. And then he uses sand magic because I guess he has sand magic to bind her to the dune with sand.
Yeah, he shoves her in the dune. And he's basically completely under Bartuk's spell at this point and puts on the helmet. And let's see.
Our buddies show up.
And then we get... Yeah, and then the Revenants get ready. Oh, well, we do... It's kind of a cool moment. Yeah, she tries to talk him out of it and reminds him of his friends and basically how many more people would be killed. He gets one last little moment of humanity, and then he sees that she's got that knife in her hands and interprets it as correctly, by the way. You're gonna try and kill me.
Yeah.
Which she was.
Yeah. So it's like let's wrap her up in some sand rope. Right. Yes, he's like, haha, I am victorious. And then Satan and Faustin show up. And that kind of breaks the Bartukness. And he's like, oh, shit, I am so sorry, guys. I didn't mean to murder you. And they're like, we forgive you. And then I think it's Satan.
And now we're going to rip your armor off.
And then Satan goes, yoink, and takes the helmet.
Right. Takes the helmet. He just and then the armor blasts them away. He's struggling. He's fighting. And finally, he gets up. His power meter is full. And he manages to rip off one of the gauntlets. Yep. And then you remember he's been casting a lot of spells, but the words have been coming out of him without his say so. But he starts to use Bartuk's memories, which are of course in his head, to cast a spell of his own.
Right.
And across town, about 100 feet away.
Meanwhile, at the gate inside of Luca Lane, all of the people, all of the soldiers who are being inhabited by demons, that spell breaks, and the demons start like gorily ripping out of the soldiers' bodies and then dying because they can't like stay on the mortal plane. So it's just this body horror moment of these soldiers just great. Like disintegrating in piles of blood and demon viscera. Yeah. And there's this one point where it says one of the Luke Ghislaine soldiers throws up.
Yeah. And you're like, yep, fair enough.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. That's yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's a really horrifying moment. It's pretty great. It's like the messiest exorcism ever.
Yeah.
With no less vomit.
Yeah. It's pretty gross.
It's pretty gross.
So, and now Kara is totally, she's broken out of the sand ropes.
Yes.
And she is trying again to talk him out of like you can do it. You can get the rest of this armor off. Let's and she's like, no, you gotta kill me. Go straight for the neck. Just kill me. Yeah. Let's get it done. And then a Deus Ex fucking Machina.
Jesus Ex Machina.
Horizon, the old man is like, basically is like doop-a-doo-doo, and just like the armor's off. He's able to get the armor off. He talks the armor into like he basically like talks the armor into taking itself off or something like that.
Right.
Because he's like, you know what, our time is over, you know?
Right.
Buddy, come on, come home, brother.
And it's an interesting moment because he's like, my powers negate your powers negate my powers. Let's just be nothing.
Let's just call the whole thing off.
Right, exactly.
You know, let's just wrap it up. And yeah, so
now, all right. Did you understand this part any better than I did? I think you know what I'm talking about. Because you were talking before about the man we call Horizon.
Yes, the man we call Horizon. So basically, Horizon was never the man. Right. Horizon was the building that they were in.
The Arcane Sanctum.
The Arcane Sanctum was Horizon. Horizon explains that at one point he was down there and he was building this Arcane Sanctum. And then he's like, this sucks. I'm just going to become the Arcane Sanctum. And he does.
I think we've all
been there, as you do.
Yeah.
So,
and the homeless guy, if you will, the crazy old man was just some wizard who got caught down there.
And some wizard who was just like wandering around, and he loses his mind down in the Arcane Sanctum, and Horizon feels bad about it. So they're like, oh, I'll just let this guy hang out here and do stuff for me, you know, run out for groceries and shit. Literally.
Yeah, literally.
So now Horizon possesses the wizard man, and that's how all this scene is happening.
Right.
Now,
right. Okay. I did. Yeah. All right. I'm just glad I had it right.
Yeah, you had it right. Now with the resolution of what happens, like the armor gets sucked down into the sand or whatever.
Yep.
And the old man who Horizon possessed turns to dust.
Right. He just. Oh, you understand that it was fucked up that you possessed my body and soul for so long. Are you going to give me a new life where I'm going to get to go out and find my own destiny and maybe study magic again? And no, none of that. You're worm food now.
You're worm food.
You're not even worm food. You're just sand.
You are sand. It is over. And it's like the way it's kind of written is kind of grotesque because it's like the last thing Nork sees is like a pair of eyes in the sand. And then they turn to sand. And it's like,
for a moment there was a pillar of sand and a pair of eyeballs sitting inside of it for just one moment.
So now we have, just as a checklist, Malevolent's dead. Galleona's dead. Bartuk's armor is gone.
Gone.
Horizon is gone.
Horizon's gone.
Zazax is MIA.
Yeah.
After that's for now. Who do we have to wrap up? Oh, we need picture wrap on Sadin and Faustin. Who are like, who explained like, oh, Kara, by the way, it wasn't you that resurrected us.
Right.
It was him. And they're like, him who? And it was like, it's like, oh, Zazax's actual fears come to life. It's like an actual fucking angel resurrected
an actual angel. It is the most like fucking, it's like this quick moment from one of those Christian paperbacks you see at the Walmart. Like, is there really a heaven? Yes, an angel brought me back to life. To help fight back against my friend who was taken over by the devil.
By the devil, because they were playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Right. It was mazes and monsters down there.
Mazes and monsters. So the angel Jesus is Satan and Faustin right up to heaven. Just does the Jesus and the Mary, they both got pulled right up to heaven. Read your Bible, folks. That's what happens. They don't die. Mary never died. Fun fact. Mary never died. She was just pulled right up.
I heard that. I heard that from a guy.
You heard that from a guy.
I heard that from a guy.
A guy named Jesus.
guy named Jesus. Thank you.
So anyway, the Revenants, that's picture wrap on the Revenants. The Revenants are like, oh, an angel told us to do it. He's here now. He's our ride.
And before Kara and Norik can so much as utter the words, what the fuck, they're gone.
They're gone, and they're left alone. They got Malevolent's dead body. They got like thousands of Malevolent soldiers like dead and rotting out in the desert sand. They're just standing there on the sand dune, and everybody is gone. It is just Kara and Norik, and Kara is like, and this, no, we are not being brief. This is how the book wraps up.
It is truly,
it is like a madcap ending of things just wrapping up.
Yes.
And basically Kara's like, well, I'm going to hang out in Luke Ghislaine a little while and see if they need any help rebuilding. And Norik's like, can I come with you? And she's like, sure. And the end, they walk off into the sunset.
They go, God damn it. We get one more fucking like, oh, she's pretty cute. Like, and finally she's like, you get the impression that she's like, he is also very handsome.
Also handsome, which I thought Norik was like a dude in his 50s.
So that's how I took it too, because they emphasized that he was a veteran, which I know you don't have to be in your 50s to be a veteran, obviously. But like he spent the way he's written, I thought he was like an old veteran. Like he's just been fighting forever. And Kara's like 20. Yeah, it felt weird. It was just a weird kind of, but all right, fine, whatever.
Weird vibe.
It's just like, okay, great. They're gonna have babies, I guess.
They're gonna go have babies, and then we get a nice little send off, little epilogue, where Zazax is running through the desert. He's like, ah! Yep. And he's still thinking he's seeing angels, but then something starts talking to him. He's like, well, the hallucinations never actually talked to me, so somebody's talking to me. And then
this is real.
And then he's like trying to figure out like all this happens right before this. Zazax is trying to figure out like, okay, how can he save his hide with Belial? Mm-hmm. Like, well, I can get some of the demons that did manage to live from that spell, and I can send them back down. That should make Belial a little happy because he sent me so many demons. And he sent me a lot. He sent me a lot of demons, and they're all dead now. So I don't know. So he's like trying to figure out how to curry favor back with Belial.
It's like he wrecked his dad's car, and he's like, I got to find a way to, buff these dents out, and then Dad won't kill me.
Yeah. And while he's thinking about that, somebody starts talking to him, and it starts like insulting him. Like, I should have, I recognized you anywhere. And Zazax is like, huh? And then you just see like Diab and basically he's dead. Yeah. We get the cutoff. He starts to cry out the name Diablo, and then he's dead. He's very much a dead demon. Because Diablo, one of the primordial evils, is free. And it's free. Not a fan of Zazax, apparently. No. And you know what? I don't blame him. Zazax felt like a more of a Power Rangers villain. Yeah. Than anything else. Just ultimately very cowardly and kind of stupid. Yeah, cowardly, stupid. Yeah, you get rid of that guy. Get rid of that guy. If he can be taken out by a bunch of fucking teenagers with dinosaur blades, then honestly, don't let him. I wish that's how he was killed. I would kill for that. If that was the Diablo Power Rangers crossover. If he was like wandering through the streets of Luke Ghislaine, just like eating rats to try to heal himself or something like that, and just like some teenagers just beat him and stole his sneakers or something like that. I think that would have been the most appropriate way for that would be a way more. It would have been the fate that Zazax deserves. Let's face facts. That's just, he deserves that, just to get beaten to shit and back, not even killed, just beaten up and humiliated by a bunch of 14-year-olds that should be in school. Right.
That would be better. But that's the ending we got anyway, and that's the end of Diablo Legacy of Blood.
That's the end of Diablo Legacy of Blood. So, vibe check on this. Yes. Yeah. How you feeling about this book, buddy?
Okay. I have a lot of feelings because on one hand, this book had moments in it that were unlike anything we have had in other books we've read so far. You've got, who could forget the pig demons from hell literally crawling out of the crust of the earth to bring him dead lizards and squirrels and shit to eat.
Yep.
The demon work is really fun. There are these really interesting moments within this, and even a few tied up ends like the ones we mentioned that work really, really well. But we challenged this book to make all of the setup, all of the building blocks being set up worth it in the end, and I don't think it fully pulled it off.
No.
And on top of that, the tone is kind of weird. Like, it's interesting because this book is not based on any moment in Diablo.
No, it's not.
Is set in the world.
It's set
Diablo.
in the immediate aftermath of Diablo 1.
Right. And that can be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
As we have seen before, when the author is given free reign to just play in a world, like John Shirley, for example, with, and any number, and Dietz, and the people, when they are, the best parts are always the parts that they are just playing with, it. They make whole cloth instead of having just to adapt one dungeon after another or one level after another. But there were moments in this that I wasn't sure how true to the world it was.
Yeah.
Diablo is like Blizzard's edgelord franchise. Right. It's very bleak. It's very dark. It's very grim. And I know we keep harping on it, but I can't get it out. The whole, like, Kara needs a boyfriend thing was driving me crazy.
Yeah.
It was making me crazy.
It was maybe once or twice, maybe once. It can happen once where, and maybe just as a method of demonstrating her agency, as opposed to, like, she doesn't need a fucking man, you know?
Right. Right. Or if we had her with a character where a relationship, even of the romantic stripe, built up over time.
Yes.
Fine.
Okay.
But we ended this book with this random kind of thing where you can tell that they're kind of sweet on each other.
Yeah.
And I don't know who that's for.
I don't know. And I don't know. These characters literally just met each other. This is her first time really meeting Norik. Without the cloud of, and as an audience, we don't know a whole lot about Norik outside of the armor. We know some things, but it's like, I don't know.
We had lots of moments where we could have fleshed him out a little bit more, even if it meant sacrificing some of the characters. Galliona ended up being kind of unnecessary. Even to the point with like her ties to Malevolent kind of went nowhere, and then her tie to Zazak
just went nowhere. It was just like basically thrown out at the end of the book.
Right. It was like, oh yeah, there was no need. Their connection didn't mean anything. It was fine, and it was just, why is that necessary? There are a lot of wonderful moments. I'm not going to shit on this book, but yeah, I don't know. There was a lot of stuff in here that the theme felt a little off. The tone felt a little off. And there was there were too many, whereas we've had lots of books where there was so much padding and unnecessary additions. This had too much skeleton. You were making a human with 9 arms. It was like, we don't need that many arms.
In true Diablo fashion, it had too much skeleton.
Right. I mean, what about you? Is that basically where you feel?
That's pretty much where I land on it. I think, like, in terms of descriptiveness, setting a scene, for the most part, really good. There, it gets a little loosey-goosey at the end with describing and letting the reader understand what the fuck is actually happening, especially when you get to the Arcane Sanctum stuff.
That one was very obtuse.
It was very obtuse. Overall it's like, and at the end of this year we'll probably do another, discussion about where we kind of slot everything. This is probably forever going to live in the mid pack, where the quality and the style of the writing is fine, but the theme, the characters, the characterization, it all felt a little like for 75% you're like, this is really cool, and then 25% you're like, kind of ruined the other 75%, didn't it?
Knack is very good at moments, these interesting scenes, these set pieces.
The moments are great.
But it just, for whatever reason, this particular piece, those moments just didn't hang together all that well.
No.
So I think it's got a lot of interesting meat, but a 9-armed skeleton.
A lot of interesting meat, but not enough meat on too many bones.
Right. We get these wonderful little nuggets in the different.
But you really gotta like fish that meat out in between like a couple of ribs or whatever, and it's like you catch your finger on it, and it's like it's like you order a whole chicken from Boston Market, but for some reason there's like half of the meat is missing.
Right. And the meat that's there is really good.
Tasty meat.
I just wanted a whole chicken.
I just wanted a whole chicken tonight, and I did not get it.
Yeah. And you forgot the mashed potatoes.
And you ordered the mashed potatoes. You ordered the mashed potatoes.
I ordered those.
And the delivery person did not give you the mashed potatoes.
And I think you knew that I wanted mashed potatoes because you included a little cup of
gravy. The mashed potatoes were actually the reason you made the order in the first place.
It's all I wanted.
It's all you wanted.
You can't do that.
You can't just order mashed potatoes.
I'm not going to spend $20. Yeah. I can't. You can't just order that. I'm not going to spend like the fee and tipping the guy and stuff. And that's $25 mashed potatoes. That's stupid. I'm not doing that.
So I'm getting the chicken. But then all I get is half chicken and no mashed potatoes, and my night is ruined.
I'm really hungry.
So that's my letterbox review of Diablo.
It's pretty much how
Legacy
it works.
of Blood.
It's pretty much how it all went down. I think those of you who read along with us will recognize
it. Yeah, that's
our thoroughly thought out metaphor here.
It is a pitch perfect metaphor.
Absolutely. There's never been a better one.
So we coming up next. We were just talking about this.
We got some fun for you next.
Yeah, we got some fun for you next. Coming up next, we have our interview with John Shirley, the author of Bioshock Rapture. He joined us to talk about Bioshock Rapture, the stuff he's doing now, all that fun stuff, and The Crow as well, because if you didn't know it, he is the co-script writer of The Crow. Yes, that
the dude's had a fucking
he has had a career, and it's a really interesting chat. Yeah. So look forward to that. And then after that, we got we got Mortal Kombat coming up, starting after the interview with John Shirley. We got Mortal Kombat. So, oh boy,
it's been a really interesting year already, Kevin.
Yeah, we've had some really interesting books in this lineup, and we're just getting started. We're not even halfway through the year yet.
I know. It's beautiful.
It's a beautiful thing. But that'll do it for tonight's episode. If you could do us a solid, go on twitter.com, which Elon Musk owns 10% of now.
I don't want to
talk about it either. But you can find us on twitter.com, at PixelLit Pod. Go ahead and follow us there. You can follow us on Instagram at PixelLit Pod. Go and rate us 5 stars on your podcast platform of choice. You can do that on Spotify. You can do that on Apple. You can also do that on Audible. I don't know if there's any. I haven't looked that deep into the stats.
Oh shit! I didn't even think about that.
I don't know if there's anyone listening to us on Audible, but you can listen to podcasts on Audible.
You can.
So we're there. We're there. We're on.
Yeah.
We're on Audible too, because why not?
Because we want you to be able to find us
everywhere,
wherever you are,
wherever fine podcasts.
Even if you're one of the weirdos who listens to podcasts on Audible.
Yeah, wherever fine podcasts are sold, you can find us there. And if the platform supports it, write us a little review, and maybe we'll read it on the show.
Absolutely.
That will do it for tonight's episode. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.